will start laying down today. So find your way to your yoga mat or wherever you are beginning your class today. Maybe taking an extra pillow or blanket along with you for some extra comfort. And just getting as comfortable as you can here. Perhaps finding Shavasana, corpse pose with your arms and legs outstretched. Maybe you opt for constructive rest pose with your knees bent, your tailbone kind of tucked under so your low back is a little more flat to the mat, and knees resting together. It can feel a little nicer, a little easier on the low back if lying flat doesn't feel quite right. Alternatively, you could bring your arms around up and overhead or rest your hands on top of your body. There are just infinite ways you could position yourself here as we begin. So feel free to explore until it feels about right. And then maybe consider closing your eyes if you enjoy some closed eye rest here. Otherwise, you can keep your eyes open, but gaze a little softer. So you're not necessarily looking at anything in particular. And beginning to scan through your body, just taking stock of how things are today in this moment. Adjusting if you find anything that needs a little TLC. And of course, noticing your muscles and joints and your physical body, but at some point also kind of scanning your emotional self. What kind of emotions have you been feeling or are you currently feeling? And sometimes these emotions can feel like they're connected to your physical body, so perhaps noticing if there's any connection between your emotions and physical sensations. Maybe questioning where that emotion lives in your body. And also at some point here, gauging your energy level today. How much energy have you exerted throughout the day so far? How much energy do you feel that you have? How much energy would you like to use and cultivate through this practice today? And perhaps setting a dedication or intention related to something that you've discovered in these last few moments or beyond, if you'd like a dedication or intention. Setting one now. And taking your time if you need more time scanning any of those different parts of yourself, physical, emotional, energetic parts. And then we'll do a little bit of breath work here. So let's first take 3 clearing breaths. We'll inhale through the nose, sigh or blow out of your mouth. 2 more like that, your own timing here. come to a samavriti, equal breathing type of place. So we're just kind of noticing the inhale, counting how long your inhale takes, and then seeing if you can match that length with your exhale. So just go ahead and count your inhale and count your exhale, trying to make it more or less equal. This is said to have a balancing effect, not only on the breath, but our minds as well. And many people believe that if you can control your breath or get into like an awareness with your breath, sometimes you can also feel that you are controlling or working with your mind a little easier. So just notice any mental or emotional effects as you continue this equal breathing, inhaling and exhaling with equal parts. Samavriti pranayama. And now we'll experiment with just a little pause between parts of the breath. So just finding your inhale and at a comfortable amount of inhale, then pausing and holding at the top just a little bit, not till you feel stressed out, but maybe a couple of seconds, and then fully exhaling. And then again at the bottom there, pausing with the breath out, just to hold maybe a couple seconds and just kind of see what that does. And then, of course, inhale again, pausing at the top for a moment or two, and then exhaling. Go at your own pace, just taking that moment or two to notice between the parts of the breath. I feel like it's kind of the best kind of visual that I have or I've heard about this kind of breath is like you're on a swing. When you're swinging backwards, you kind of stop for a moment at the back before you again swing to the front. And it's kind of like that little hang time moment in between. So if you like that visual, maybe you kind of go with that as you continue these paused breaths. And then go ahead and start to erase those pauses, making a nice smooth, almost continuous like breath. Letting your inhales turn into exhales. Like it's one big circular, moving, flowing breath. And we'll start to move a little bit here. So let's start to wiggle fingers and toes, gently reawakening your body, maybe moving a little bit through your ankles and wrists here. Awakening. And I always like to head right into a long body stretch. So go ahead if you're into it. Arms and legs reaching in opposite directions, reaching and stretching. Oh, heavenly. All right. And if you had a pillow under your head or anywhere else or any kind of props, maybe moving that to the side for now. Let's bend the knees and stand your feet up if they're not already in that position. Picking up all your toes, spreading them out and setting them back down, tucking your shoulder blades in underneath your back so your chest is kind of puffing up. Press your hands down into the mat or next to the mat, wherever it feels comfortable for you. We're going to stay in a lifted bridge today. So with your inhale, let's start to lift up just about halfway at first. So we're going to stay here about halfway. First, notice your feet. See if you can create kind of an equal sense of pressure throughout the edges of your feet. Breathing here. With an inhale, if you want to lift up to your kind of full style, lifting up there, and just continue to breathe Some people like to interlace their hands underneath their back and kind of tuck the shoulder blades in even farther. You might try that. Or just keep your hands pressing down into the mat. Notice your glutes, notice your thighs, notice any resistance or fear or anything that arises as you stay lifted. Just see if we can stay with it for about 3 more breaths. Even if it gets hard, just see if you can do 2 more breaths. And just about 1 more breath in. And then breath out to lower right on down. Hug your knees in toward your chest here. Let's pull the head up toward the knees and just kind of create a tiny little ball, kind of stressing all of your muscles. So we're kind of holding tight. Squeeze a little bit here. Squeeze your face, all the facial features, squeezing. Take a breath in and then a breath out. Bring your feet back down to the floor. Let your head come to the mat. Arms could go out wide. Just constructive rest here with the knees knocking in toward the center line, resting on each other at the center. And take a sighing breath at your leisure. Sometimes physically exerting like that can help us move stuckness, stagnation through the body. So just kind of giving your body a moment here to kind of recoup after that nice tight squeeze. And then we'll bring the feet in a little bit closer if they were out wide. Let's press that right foot down a lot and start to lift and straighten or almost straighten that left leg up toward the sky. Give your toes a little wiggle. Maybe circle out that left ankle a little bit. You can always hold on behind your leg if that helps it stay lifted. Or hands can be out to the side if you want to give your abdominals and your legs a little bit of a strengthener here. All right. And then bend that left knee and bring your left ankle behind that right knee for figure 4. Pausing here, noticing if this feels like a good spot for you today. You don't have to change anything if so. If you're looking for some different options, you could press that left hand into your left knee, kind of opening up that left hip a little more. If you want, yet again, different sensation, you might reach to interlace the fingers behind that right thigh. Just make sure that your shoulders and your head can comfortably rest on the floor. And you're always welcome to mix and match, changing your variation anytime you'd like. Let's take 3 nice slow breaths here. Option to circle your ankles or find any other little movements that just feel normal, natural, interesting to you. I guess it doesn't have to feel normal, but as long as it feels interesting. Three breaths is just not feeling like enough for me, so once you're done with those 3, let's just take 2 more. Maybe about 1 more here. And if that right foot was lifted, bringing it back down. Let's find a little bit of twisting here. So we'll let the hands come out wide for support and just allow your figure 4 legs to kind of twist over to one side, either side. And then at some point, bringing your knees back up and then twisting to the other side. You could stay for a good amount of time on both sides, or you could just kind of rock side to side. Just getting some nice twisting going through the low spine. Kind of through the hip joints a little bit here too. All right, coming back up to our neutral figure 4. Let's lift and straighten that left leg back up for a moment. And then bend the left knee and set your left foot down. Just take a minute here not even a minute, just a couple seconds to kind of not do anything except for notice. I feel like I can just really tell things don't feel equal through my lower body. Kind of interesting to explore how it feels different. And then we're switching sides. So that left foot presses down a lot as your right leg starts to lift and straighten or almost straighten. You can always hold on behind that left or that right thigh if you can reach. And give that right ankle a little bit of love, some circling, a little wiggle of the toes. Good, good, good. Getting our legs up. It's good for our circulation, especially when we're moving our joints like this. Motion is lotion, they say, for the joints, which is kind of a funny saying, but I remember it pretty well. All right, we're bending that right knee, coming to figure four, right ankle just behind the left knee. This could be a good stopping point on this side. Does not have to match. Your expression of this pose does not have to match the first side, so maybe this is good for you here. You can always use your right hand to press your right knee slightly away. I feel like all of the variations feel nice. Or you can reach and interlace your fingers behind that left thigh, just so long as your head and your shoulders can more or less rest on the floor, so you're not causing the upper body any undue stress. All right, let's take 5 slow breaths here. Remembering you can change your variation anytime or add on extra movements or explorations. Just about 3 more nice slow breaths. Just about 1 more. Take your time, maybe bringing that left foot back down if it was lifted. We're getting into our little twists next here, so could bring the arms back out wide for support. And then again, just starting to twist the figure 4 legs in either direction to start. You can stay, or you can lift right back up and then head to the other side anytime you want. You could go back and forth. You could find a nice feeling spot and just pause. Make it your own a little bit here as you explore some little twists. I know this is meant to have focus on twist, but I just love the feeling of like rocking in between and like having that pressure on the sacrum, that low part of the spine. That just feels so heavenly to me. I have a weird thing for the sacrum. It's just such a cool bone, and I love having like a little pressure right there. Good, good. All right. When you're ready, coming back up. Straighten that right leg back up for a moment. Get a little movement through that right foot and ankle, and then set your right foot down on the ground. Let's turn onto either side and then press your way on up through a comfortable seat right to our hands and knees for cat and cow through tabletop position. So fingertips spread out at a nice comfortable distance, hands beneath the shoulders, knees beneath the hips. You know the drill. Let's inhale and lower the belly, lift the gaze and the tailbone, finding your cow pose. And exhale to round up through your spine. Press through your hands so your shoulders start spreading out even more. Tucking your tailbone, cat pose. And now just flow with it. You're inhaling to your cow pose, belly lowering, gaze lifting. And exhaling to your cat. Go ahead and continue cat and cow for a few more rounds. Adding on, of course, any little extra movements that feel interesting, maybe a twist or turn through the shoulders or hips, maybe a circling or a semi-circling of your neck. Anything interesting. All right. Okay, coming back to neutral, let's find a little bird dog position, it's called. We're gonna lift that left hand up, extend that right leg back. So opposite limbs are extending. Press into the hand and knee that are in the floor. So you have this nice kind of like lifted through the core sensation. Take a breath in, breath out, lower the right foot and the left hand, just touching it down to the floor for a second. With your inhale, lifting it back up. You never have to go as high as you can. Maybe just halfway is good today. Exhale, lowering down, tapping down to the floor. One last time, inhale, lifting up. With your exhale, just lower your left hand. We're gonna bring the right foot down at the edge of your mat, at the back edge of your mat, and then kickstand your left foot off of the mat. So we're gonna end up with the left hand, the right knee, and the right foot more or less in a nice line here. And then open that right hand up toward the sky. For a lot of people, it's gonna feel better to have a block underneath your left hand so you can keep your spine a little more in alignment here. And you can keep that right hand reaching high or start to reach it up toward the top of your mat so you can feel a nice side opening here through the right side. This is a modified side plank, so maybe you're feeling a little work here. That's good. We're here for about one more breath in. And then breath out, bring that right hand down to the floor, come back to your tabletop position. If you were using a block on that first side, just go ahead and slide it over so you'll have it ready for the next side. Let's straighten that left leg out behind us and that right arm straight out. Again, press into your mat hand, your left hand, and your right knee. So you find this kind of like lifted core. Inhale here. Exhale, tapping your right pinky and left big toe down to the floor. Inhale, reaching back up. One more time, exhale, lower down. Inhale, reaching up. With your exhale, bring your right hand to the block or the mat. Set your left foot down at the short edge of your mat at the back. Kickstand that right foot off of your mat. So again, right hand, right knee, left foot are more or less in a line at the center of your mat. And then open that left hand up high, left arm reaching up. I think it just feels so much better to have a block under that right hand. You can stay here or start to reach that left hand up and overhead, reaching up toward the top of your mat so you can feel like a lengthening and a stretching through your left side. Keep that right shoulder and hand active here so we're not like dumping into the joints. We're kind of reaching up here. One more big breath in and breath out. Hand comes down to the floor. Bring it back in to tabletop. All right, let's find our way to extended child's pose with our knees coming out wide toward the edges of the mat. Start to sink your seat down toward your heels. Maybe coming to rest on your forearms. Maybe walking your hands out toward the top of your mat and then sinking your head and chest down toward the floor. And I know in a lot of yoga classes, it's like, it seems like you should go for like the deepest or the hardest version that you can, but there's actually a lot of interesting sensations to be had from the quote easier variations, like coming up to your forearms in child's pose just gives a whole different angle to what you're feeling through the hips, through the back. So I invite you to just consider not going to the hardest expression every time that you can. Just seeing if there's anything else along the way that feels interesting, I think is like so useful. But like almost taboo in some classes. So nothing taboo here. One more nice big breath. When you're ready, rising back up to your tabletop, let's find our way to our first downward facing dog using blocks if you have them. If you feel like your wrists have had a little too much so far, you can always come down to your forearms on your blocks and kind of angle them almost like you're making almost a triangle shape kind of with it so that your forearms can be a little bit angled and your hands can touch. This is dolphin pose, so downward dog or dolphin is just fine. They're kind of similar. Either one, we're gonna tuck the toes under and then start to lift the tailbone high. You're either on your forearms or your hands. You can give them both a try if you'd like. I kind of like to keep my hands either clasped or kind of in prayer hands if I'm in dolphin pose with the forearms down. We're just reaching through the shoulders either way. Feel free to pedal your legs out, switch variations if you want. And just make sure you're breathing here for about 2 more breaths. Just about 1 more breath in. And 1 more breath out. Inhale, bend your knees, look up toward your hands, but with your exhale, walk your hands to the back of your mat. So you end up in the back, at the back, in a ragdoll forward fold. You can toe heel your feet out way wide if you need a little extra room between the feet here, or keep them a little closer. We're letting the upper body hang kind of loose here. Option to find a little bit of swaying or pedaling your knees out. If it's ever too much to be upside down like that, you could come to a nice halfway lift position and still get a nice amount of stretch going through the back of the legs. Just about 1 more breath or so. And then bending your knees, walk your hands up your legs as you slowly roll up to stand. And don't be in any kind of rush here. Nice and slow as you rise. When you eventually get to the top, let's find our nice little shaking moment here. So just freestyle shaking, maybe lifting and lowering your heels a couple times, maybe letting your arms kind of bounce, maybe kind of working a willow pose, willow tree in. You just do your thing here, exploring any amount of shaking, bouncing through your body. Any other movements that just come your way, we're just letting them come through for a couple more moments. You can jump a couple times. Okay. When you're done with your little shake, let's come to the back of the mat here. We'll do a half sun salutation first. So taking a look at your feet, making sure they're a comfortable distance apart, picking up your toes, spreading them out, set them back down. Spin your palms to face the front of your space with your hands your arms more or less straight by your sides. Feeling a little bit of opening through the front of your chest here with your shoulder blades hugging together slightly. Close your eyes for a moment if you want, just to feel mountain pose from an internal perspective. It does feel like strong and mighty, doesn't it? Okay, opening your eyes. Inhale, reach your hands up. Join your hands overhead. Option to look up as they join. Exhale, swan dive. Forward fold, reaching your arms around and then down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive, rising up. So arms reach wide. We're hinging up at the hips and then joining hands together overhead. Exhale, hands come down to the heart. Let's do that again. And you're welcome to go completely at your own pace here if you feel you have it memorized. With your inhale, reaching up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold with at least a little bend of your knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bending your knees a little bit here. Inhale, reverse swan dive. And hands join overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. Big breath in. Sigh to release. All right, we're going to add on a little bit here. We'll take a big breath in. Hands at the heart. Exhale, just upper body twist toward the right. So hands will stay at the heart here. We're just going to twist. Keep your hips pointing toward the top edge of your mat as much as you can. And just twist to the right through your upper body. See if you can stay here for your inhale. And exhale. Inhale, come back to the center. Lower body staying still here. Exhale, upper body twist to the left. So your hips are almost wanting to kind of counter twist toward the right. So we're twisting to the left though. Take a breath in here and a breath out. Inhale, come to the center. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, walk your hands all the way out to your high plank. Hands can be on your blocks if they're still there. Exhale here. One last breath in. Exhale, knees lower. Move those blocks to the side and then lower your chest. Always got to do our baby cobras here. So press your feet, tops of your feet down into the mat so much that those knees start popping up. The lower body is working here. With your inhale, lift through your head and heart, baby cobra. Exhale, lower. So good for core strength here. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, lower. Really good for our spine health and posture as well. One more time. Inhale, rise up, baby cobra. Stay lifted here if you want for your exhale. With your inhale, press your way up to tabletop. And exhale to child's pose, your variation. Send your breath to your low back, to your sacrum, and just see what that cue does for you. Two more breaths. One more breath in. And out. Inhale, rise up. Tabletop, getting in place for downward dog however you need to. And then eventually exhaling to find your downward dog. Make sure your fingertips feel extra active here, gripping down. Inhale. Reach through the shoulders. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last breath in. Breath out. Inhale, bend your knees, look up to your hands. Exhale, walk your hands to the back of the mat. Forward fold at the back. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees a little bit here with your inhale, reverse swan dive, rising up, strengthening those hamstrings. Join hands overhead. Exhale, hands come down to your heart center. Take a couple moments here to check back in. Remember your intention. Checking in physically, emotionally, and energetically quickly here. Let's take a clearing breath when you're ready. Inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh it out. Inhale right here at the center, opening your eyes if they were closed. Exhale, only the upper body twisting to the right. Inhale here in your twist. Exhale here. Inhale, come to the center. And exhale, twisting your upper body toward the left. Take a full round of breath here. See if you can kind of counter twist by twisting your hips slightly to the right. Nice and gentle though. With your next inhale, come back to the center. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, walk your hands all the way out toward the top of your mat. High plank. Take a big breath in here. And exhale, knees lower, chest lowers. Get all set up for your rounds of baby cobra here. So pressing your feet down a lot again. With your inhale, rising up, baby cobra. You're welcome to stay here for 3 breaths or lift and lower. If you're lifting and lowering, we're exhaling to lower down. And then inhaling to rise back up. Keep going, either staying lifted or lifting and lowering. We're going to have about 2 more breaths. One last breath in. One last breath out. No matter where you are, just with your next inhale, rise back up to your tabletop. And then exhale to child's pose of your choosing. Knees can be a little closer or way out wide. You could come down to your forearms. You could extend your arms out or even tent your fingertips up. Exploring your child's pose for 2 more breaths. One more breath. With an inhale, rise on up, tabletop. Decide if you want to join me in one last downward dog, or maybe just stay here for a little cat and cow. When you're ready, using an exhale to downward dog. We'll have 3 nice breaths here, inhaling and exhaling. Inhale. Exhale. One more breath in. One more breath out. Inhale, bend your knees, look up to your hands, and exhale to walk your way to the back of the mat. Option to take a little squat here if you like, coming down to your version of Malasana. You could just kind of bend your knees and have your elbows resting on your hands, or you could come all the way down to your Malasana with your elbows pressing in to the inside of the knees and hands at kind of the heart center. Puff your chest up a little bit here. We'll take 3 breaths exploring some kind of squat. Just about 1 more breath here in your squat. And if it feels right, maybe bringing your hands down to the floor as you straighten your legs and toe heel your feet back in. Take your own timing here, using an inhale to halfway lift. Lots of length from the tailbone to the crown of your head. And then exhale, 1 last forward fold. Knees bending here, press your feet down. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Rising up, join your hands overhead. And exhale, hands come down to heart center. Take a few moments to check back in. Notice things about your body, about your mind, anything having to do with the present moment here in your experience. And let's take a clearing breath now. Let's inhale through the nose. Sigh it out. All right, go ahead and open your eyes if they were closed. We're going to do a little balancing here, and you can come to the middle of the mat or come to a hard surface floor if you're on carpet, or find a wall to help you today, or a chair could be really nice. We're just going to go between our one-legged mountain pose and airplane pose a couple of times. So let's start with the most stable version of this. So we're going to bring all the weight to the left foot first. Hands could be out to the side or holding on to support or at your heart or wherever you like to have them. Let's come to the tippy toes on that right foot. So we're popping up that right knee a little bit here. One-legged mountain pose. And then we will drag that right toe back behind you on the mat. So the right toe stays more or less connected to the mat. And we're finding airplane pose with that right toe down behind you. Hug your shoulder blades together behind your back. Reach those hands out behind you. Keep reaching those right toes back. Here you are. Let's come back to one-legged mountain pose, dragging the right toes up on the mat back to the one-legged position. All right, that's the first variation. If you I feel like that one's actually kind of hard. You can also bend that right knee and lift it up to about hip height or so. Somewhere in between could be good too. And then finding your way back to airplane pose, keeping that right knee bent, just kind of reaching it back. You could bring the right toes down to the floor here, or start to tip forward as you lift the right foot behind you. Go ahead and just experiment with going back and forth a couple of times on this side, and don't be surprised if you start feeling that standing leg, maybe that standing foot or that left glute, really start talking to you right away. You can do this as few or as many times as you'd like. Seeing if you can just keep balancing up on that left foot as you transition between those two poses. And when that left leg is like, I've had enough, go ahead and bring that right foot down to the ground. Shake out that left leg a little bit. Take your time. And then we will eventually go on the other side. So coming to stand on that right leg, you might take that most supported variation first with the left toes down in that one-legged position. And then sliding on back to your airplane pose. And forward a couple times. If you want to go into some uncharted territories, maybe you pick that left knee up a little higher in your one-legged mountain. And maybe a little higher behind you in your airplane pose. And try not to be too serious. It's okay if you lose your balance or decide you want a little more support by holding on to a chair. It can feel so nice to have a chair in front of you. And again, if that right leg starts feeling like it's had enough, you are welcome to stop anytime, eventually stepping your left foot down to the ground. All right, we're heading down to the floor. So once you're ready, making your way there, we're gonna go right into a long body stretch. There's a lot of hip joint movement in our balancing poses. So let's take a little long body stretch. See if you can kind of get a little opening through those hip flexors as you stretch arms and legs in opposite directions, maybe kind of arching around, or yeah, arching the back a little bit so you can get that kind of sensation through the hip points. And then you're welcome to stay right here and get into your final rest right away, or join me in one last active twist here. If so, let's bend the knees, tuck your tailbone under so your back is kind of flat on the floor. Let's lift one knee up and then the other. Hands out wide for support. Take a breath in up here at the center. With your exhale, twisting your knees over toward the right side, but don't get too settled in here because we're going to switch sides pretty much right away. With your inhale, come back up to the center. And then with your exhale, twisting your knees toward the left. If you want to get fancy, we can turn the gaze in the opposite direction that the knees are turning. So with every inhale, come back to center. With your exhale, knees go right, gaze goes left. Inhale to the center. Exhale, knees go left, gaze goes right. Let's do one more on each side. Inhaling, coming up. Exhale, knees to the right. Inhale, coming up. And exhale, knees to the left. Come back up to the center, then set your feet down. You might try out supported rest pose or constructive rest pose, keeping your knees bent here and then just toe heeling your feet way out wide and then letting your knees come together at the center. Can feel super nice for the low back. Or finding Shavasana corpse pose. With your arms and legs flat on the ground. Make it your own. Taking lots of experiments if you feel like it, or any last little movements that your body might want before it feels restful. Experimenting until it feels just about right. Maybe closing your eyes. And I have a reading here. I'm not sure where it came from, but it is called Meditation on How to Practice Your Magic. Breathe in and raise your vibration. Breathe out and release your resistance. Breathe in and raise your vibration. Breathe out and release your resistance. Relax. Say thank you for everything that's around you right now. The air you breathe, the water you drink, the food you eat, the floor that's holding you up, the sun that's shining. Breathe in and be here now. Breathe out and let your thoughts go. Only your thoughts can make you feel bad. You can choose to step into the present moment right now. Breathe in and be here now. Breathe out and feel better already. Listen to the flow. You get to choose what you feel and what you think. You are free to be whoever you want to be. Allow yourself to let go of everything else but what's in the present moment. Allow yourself to wake up in the dream right now. Breathe in and smile. Breathe out and decide how you want to feel. Life is bringing you gifts in every moment. What you want is being handed to you right now. You can relax and enter the present moment where everything is fun and there's nothing to worry about, at least for now. Breathe in and remember you always have plenty. Breathe out and feel better than ever. And as always, please know you can just stay here and rest as long as you want or need. Eventually, when you're ready to reawaken your body, just do it gently. Wiggling fingers and toes is kind of nice. Bringing in other small movements as you reawaken. Maybe turning your head from side to side, yawning, or stretching, or swallowing, or humming. And then choose a side and roll over into the fetal position on either side with your knees slightly tucked in. Take one nice round of breath on your side. Like there's just no rush. And when you're ready, using the help and strength of your arms to press your way up to a seat. If it feels okay, we'll keep the eyes closed and join hands in front of your heart center. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and be free. And may our own thoughts, words, and actions somehow contribute to that happiness and freedom for all. Let's bring our thumbs up to third eye center. And in a little gesture of gratitude, if it feels right to you, let's take a little bow forward together now. Peace.